Hi, I'm Thomas. Welcome to the StoryLine show. Today's StoryLine show is called Wheel of Points. Wheel of Points. And what it is it's a spinning wheel that has 150, 200, and 300 points on it. The idea being that your learner is going through any learning program and there's an opportunity for them to gain points. They spin the wheel, it lands on a certain number of points, they get a difficult question for 300 points, medium question for 200 points, and an easier question for 150 points. Those points are totaled up to a certain number of points after X number of spins, and we have a fun interaction, a much more interesting way of the learner getting access to a knowledge check or some sort of question and answer routine that is much better than a simple multiple choice questions. Now they're getting points. Now there's a little bit of gamification. Now it's kind of super fun. Had to build one of these for a very large car manufacturer, and we were building a set of survey questions for them, and they wanted it gamified. So the adding of the points and the spinning of the wheel was super fun. Challenge initially was, how do we get the wheel to spin and StoryLine to see the points that were generated by the wheel? But our solution today is really unique in the fact that we are selecting the animation and giving the points inside a StoryLine, and the animation is just kind of dumb. It's not thinking. It doesn't do anything. So instead of the wheel landing on 300 and StoryLine choosing a 300-point question, StoryLine chooses a 300-point question, we run a 300-point animation. Well, you'll see. It's pretty cool. A very unique way. The best part about this is that you get the not the Flash, I always used to say Flash, the Adobe Animate FLA files. You get the MP4 files for the wheel, and then you get the 2 StoryLine files for the actual application itself. So not only are you getting to learn about how to make this work, you're also getting my fun wheel, and you're getting the Animate source files and the StoryLine files, and it's pretty awesome. This is one of my favorite solutions for a client. And once again, it uses just a simple wheel animation and some StoryLine files. And here we go. Okay, friends, we are in StoryLine, and this is the start screen. This is what you'll open when you first start this project. You see I've got 2 slides. I have a slide with some players. I have a start the game button, which just simply advances us to the next slide. I have a cheesy sound effect, and I have some players getting ready to, quote, play the game. And then I also have a second slide, which is end the game. The players are gone, our happy host is gone, and there's a spot for where your final score is going to go. And there's also some fun, cheesy game show software. So very simply, we preview what the scene, if we preview what the start files look like, they are very simple. There's some little cheesy music, and we have our players. We click on start the game, and there's your final score. Okay, obviously we've got a lot of work to do because we are going to create a series of spin the wheel options. From the learner's perspective, the wheel never changes, which is fun. From StoryLine's perspective, we show the animation. Actually, here we want the wheel to determine how many points the learner is going to get. We have 150-point questions, we have 200-point questions, we have 300-point questions. The challenge that I had was, how do I get that data from the wheel spin to StoryLine? So what I did instead was I used StoryLine to randomly pick the question type and then show an animation of the wheel spinning and then show the question. So from the learner's perspective, they spun the wheel, they landed on a number, they got that hard of a question. And what we're going to do is we're going to use StoryLine's question banks in order to randomize the number or randomize the questions, as well as be able to assign points to those pieces. The points feel like they're coming from the wheel, but it's actually the the tail wagging the dog. The animation plays based on the points generated. Let me show you how that works. So let's go to slides. We have question banks. If you've never used question banks, it's pretty cool. We're going to create a new question bank, and we're going to call it StoryLine Show. Boom. And what it is it's a series of standard StoryLine questions that we can choose to insert inside of our question bank. So we're going to do some graded questions. We're going to do one first, and then we're going to copy and model everything after that. So we'll do a multiple choice. And this multiple choice question is going to be fun in the fact that it's going to, we're going to have it look a certain way. Oops, I probably heard it. But here's the question. We're going to say this is a sample 150 point question. This is a fun exercise to do. And we're going to say jumping jacks. We're going to say sit-ups. And we're going to say plank, aka lay on the floor. And then the last one will be pull-ups. Looks like we've got a dozen like that there, so we'll add the hyphen. Perfect. And my favorite exercise to do is plank. I love to lay on the floor. So that's going to be our correct answer. So go back to our slide view and you can see everything is kind of laid out a little funky. But this is going to be a 150 point question. And that 150 point question is going to be determined by the wheel spin. So what I did for you is I saved a bunch of Adobe Animate files, FLAs. And those FLAs are located on the zip file that you downloaded, but the animations themselves are saved as MP4s. So as you know, MP4s are videos, so we're going to insert a video from file, and we're going to find our StoryLine show. Excellent. And look, we have 150 green and 150 Y. 150 green will land on a green 150 spot. 150 Y will land on a yellow 150 spot. Let's choose the yellow one. Perfect. So we've inserted our wheel, and it's on a black background, so we're going to fix that in just a second. So we're going to put our wheel here, and I'm going to create a black shape background to kind of hide that wheel. And we're going to change this to black and no outline. Perfect. Change the stacking order, and boom, we have a lovely animated wheel that shows up here. Okay, so now remember, the learner gets the idea that they spin the wheel, then the question shows up based on their results. So if we run this right now, preview this slide, the question and the wheel will show up simultaneously. Okay. We have the wheel spinning. That doesn't really give the illusion that the wheel chose the question, or this was random. So what we're going to do is that let's take a look at that video. We're going to pretend to edit the video, but we're looking at the duration. So the total duration of my animated spin is 3 seconds long. Okay, you can see that here at the very bottom. My animation is 3 seconds long. So we're going to close this piece, and we're going to have the wheel spin, and then I'm going to have the question show up at the 3 second mark. Okay, so to make it a little fancier, we're going to add a fade. So our objects are going to fade in. Now, it doesn't make any sense to have an interface submit button. If you remember, if you've watched other StoryLine programs, I default my player to the black modern style, but I remove all of the menus and the resources and taskbars, seek bars, everything else from the interface so that it's not to get cluttered up. But having a submit button pop up doesn't make any sense. So we're going to block that trigger. We're going to disable it. And then I'm going to insert, if you remember, we have a red button on our home page. And we're going to say submit our red button. And what's that button going to do? Let's apply a trigger to that red button. And we are going to submit the interaction, the multiple choice interaction, and click OK. Excellent. I don't like that one. We're going to make it that red. Perfect. So now we have our interaction being submitted. We have the feedback occurring, and so forth and so on. Now, Instead of the well, let's modify our correct and incorrect. And so correct, you selected the right response. I'm going to just say click the continue button to spin the wheel again. Excellent. And then incorrect, you did not select the correct response. Click the continue button to spin the wheel again. Excellent. All right, so technically what we've done is we have a 150-point sample question. The wheel's going to spin. It's going to land on the yellow 150, and plank is the correct answer. Correct, you selected the response, spin the wheel again. Boom. Incorrect, click to spin the wheel again. Perfect. One last thing to change. We said this was 150 points. So the feedback, if they're correct, instead of 10 points, we're going to give them 150 points. Nice. Perfect. And once again, let's, instead of going through all this work of putting a new one in and blah, 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 let's just copy the slide. So I right mouse click on the slide itself, and I click duplicate. And this is another sample 150 point question. We'll say this is a fun game to play. And we'll say Monopoly. 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 Chess. Checkers. And gin. I like gin. Perfect. And once again, the correct answer, spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. But here's what's interesting. I've given you two animations. This one is the yellow animation. Let's right mouse click, replace this video with a video from file. What are we going to replace it with? 150 green. Perfect. So now we have a exercise question that spins to yellow. We have a game question that spins to green. So now it generally to the learner feels like they're spinning that wheel and getting 3 seconds of spin before that question shows up. Almost as if this spinning wheel determines the question, when in reality, because we're using the question banks, StoryLine is going to randomly pick the question. The wheel is going to animate to a number, and then the question is actually going to appear and give them those points. Super sneaky, super cool. All right, so let's highlight those two and duplicate. So boom, now we have 4 150-point questions. So let's do this. We're on this one. This is another 150-point question. This is a cool vacation. And we're going to change this to Hawaii, New York, Caribbean. Oops, let me just go Bahamas. And then this last one will be all the above. And boom, done. Next one. What else can we do? This is some good food. And we'll say tofu salad. Ugh, gross. This is sea urchin. This is ribeye steak, which is my personal favorite. Ribeye steak, and then we're going to go to, what else is something gross? Too much spinach. Excellent. Perfect. So once again, because we're just simply copying and pasting these pieces, our correct answer and incorrect answers are staying the same. Of course, if this was for an actual client or an actual learner, we'd modify these pieces, but we're giving feedback on each slide and they're getting points across each slide. All right, so let's add now a 200-point question. We have to make some changes. So 200-point question, and we'll ask something a little more personal. Thomas's favorite TV show is, okay, and let me move this down a little bit. Nice. And my favorite TV show is Beat Bobby Flay. Beat Bobby Flay. I enjoy cooking shows, and Bobby Flay is a hero. So we'll say Chopped. We'll say Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives. And then what else is on the Food Network? We can say Parking Lot. What is the name of that show? Parking Lot Challenge or Parking Lot Cook-Off, or just, let's just say Barbecue, Brew, and Q. All right, Beat Bobby Flay is my favorite show. All right, we've got a 200-point question, a little harder, and we have to change two things. Right now we have our lovely video that needs to change because we have a 200-point video. Boom. So now this animation, once again, it's going to spin for 3 seconds, land on these one of these red 200s, and we also have to change the score. So we'll do 200 points. And we'll only do one of those, and then we'll add a 300-point question and make this really hard. Thomas's favorite movie is, and we'll do Star Wars. We'll do Jaws. We'll do Boomerang. And we'll do, what else is out there? Let's say we do Rocky. Star Wars is my favorite. We have to do those two things again, right? Mouse click, replace video from file to the 300-point slide. And then we have to change our score to 300. Perfect. Excellent. Nice. And all of our questions, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. But when we ask our learner, we're going to give them 4 questions. And it's going to randomly pull from the bank only 4 questions. And there's a chance they'll, there's, a 2-to-1 chance they'll get a 150 over a 200 and over a 300. Let me just double check to make sure I change that to 300. Perfect. And we have 300, and we have the 300. Perfect. We are all set and ready to test this. All right, so all is good from our question bank. So let's go all the way back to our story view. And now what we need to do is we're going to insert questions from that question bank. Okay, so I can go to question bank and I can say draw from question bank. So when I click draw from question bank, I get this lovely pop-up. Remember how I mentioned we have 6 questions. I want to include 4 questions, and I want them to be drawn randomly from the StoryLine show question bank. Okay, so we're including all of these questions, 1 through 6, and like I said, there's a chance that somebody's going to get 4 150-point questions and not get a 200 or a 300-point question. Womp womp. But there's also a chance that they can get a 200 or a 300-point question and 250 points or any combination thereof. And that's what's neat about this, is that the learner is, quote, spinning the wheel, getting that random question. It feels as if the spinning of the wheel is determining the point value, but the reality is that StoryLine is determining that point value, showing the animation and bringing those questions up. So when I click Insert, looky here, we have our Start the Game. We go to this next slide, it spins the wheel for 3 seconds, and then we end the game here. Awesome, so let's do a quick test. So let's preview this scene, and we'll see if everything is working as we want it to. All right, boom, 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 start the game. And boom, here's our wheel. And how come we're not, that's bizarre. Oh, I bet I know what I did. Let me go back and draw. Let's see what these questions are looking like. Yep, what I did is that I moved that black rectangle to that 3-second mark. So it's fun. You get to see Thomas debugging in real time. And perfect. And perfect. And perfect. And that will solve our bug. preview in this scene. And here it comes. Perfect. All right, and it went to the question bank. But you can see we spun. First one, yellow. Fun exercise to do. Plank, lay on the floor, submit, and we're good to go. Continue. Nice. We ended up on the green one. We're going to go with gin, submit, continue. Excellent. And see how the wheel is spinning first. Up there's another 150 point. All the above. Submit. Good to go. And last but not least, notice these are all 150 point questions. We missed it. Ribeye steak, continue, and it's going to keep running all of those pieces for us. All right, so we have our front game, end game, and we have all of our questions. What we want to do is we want to be able to display the final score on this last slide. Now, normally what you do, if you have just a regular old set of questions, you would insert a results slide. We need to insert that results slide so that StoryLine creates a variable called results.scorePoints. Without a results slide, we don't get that variable. In other StoryLine show activities, I'll talk about creating your own score and writing your own scores, but for now, we'll just use this results slide. And you notice we've got a check mark from the draw from the StoryLine show, and we're good to go. Click OK, and now we have this results.scorePoints variable created. So if we go back to our final score, I'm going to just insert a couple of spaces, and then we're going to insert the reference. And we're using built-in variables. Make sure you're not project because we don't have any built-in variables, and we're looking for results.score points. Boom, and right now it's 0. So what would happen now is if we ran this project, we would go from slide 1 to our question bank, and then all those scores would tally up and show on this last slide. But wouldn't it be cool for the learner to know what their score was throughout the entire program? And it also allows me to fix one more thing that I didn't like during that question bank. So if we go into our questions and we go into our form view, we have shuffle answers. I'm going to turn that shuffle answers off on each one of the slides, but we're also going to have a running score. So let's insert a text box. We'll put the score at the top. We'll put SCORE colon, and I'm going to change that to white, and we'll make it bold. Bold, there we go. And then I'm going to insert that reference. Once again, that's just the reference variable, and it's result score points. And right now it's 0. If I copy and paste this, copy, paste, 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 and then on each one of these slides, remove the shuffle answers, because I don't like shuffling answers most of the time. Sometimes it's a good thing, but in our example here, like I want all the above to stay at the bottom. And then the last one, perfect. So we have turned shuffling off, and we've added that score to each slide. And now here we go. We're going to have that score show up on each slide, and then we're going to have that end game slide show that final score. Now you notice we don't have any next buttons, so there's no way the learner is going to get to that result slide. But we need to keep it in place, otherwise StoryLine for some reason deletes results.scorePoints, even though we want to keep it. So let's preview our entire project. And it should start off with our game show. We get the beginning. Here we go. Excellent. Start the game. Randomly picks 150 points. A fun exercise to do. Plank. Submit. That's correct. Nice. Oops. Let's see what we get. Another 150 point question. This is a cool vacation. All the above. And look at that. My score is now 300 points. See how it's tracking it here? Oh, another green one. A fun game to play. Gin was the correct answer. 450 points. Let's see, is it going to give me a 300-point question. Tom's favorite movie show is Star Wars. Nice. And 750 points is our score. Pretty neat, if you ask me. Once again, it's a tail wagging the dog. We're using the question banks to randomly generate the questions. We're adding that animation for 3 seconds before the rest of the content shows in, giving the illusion that the rolling of the wheel chooses the question being asked, but it's actually reversed. We're choosing the question, showing the animation, showing the question, allowing the user to interact, and now we're keeping score across the board. Wow, this was a long StoryLine show. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Once again, check the links below, and you can download these assets. You can download the animated wheel. You can download the beginning and the ending story files, get access to the music, get access to the characters. But more importantly, I'm giving you the FLA files so that you can modify that rotating wheel to your fit. If you don't like the black background, swap it to white. You don't like the colors, swap it out. They're yours to own and use in your e-learning programs. Once again, thank you for all your support. I thank you so much for joining me for the StoryLine show, and have a great one, and we'll see you next time.